My name is Muriel, and I empower people to improve their own lives. Imagine you have access to any opportunity you want in the world, any material possession. Your dream car, a yacht, an island, a plane. You get to choose one, and all you have to do is give up your good health. What would you do? What is more valuable than your health? I've asked so many people this question, and some immediately say, oh, well, nothing. And then others pick the mansion, or they pick the island, and then they think about it, possibly recalling a time when they or their loved ones were sick, and then grudgingly admit that nothing is as important as their good health. So for most people, good health is a priority. But in practice, for a lot of people, until they get sick, they don't really realize the value and understand that their health is their superpower. I've been working for the past 11 years across 9 countries, learning about how different cultures approach health, how they negotiate and integrate health practices into their society, and how they automate those processes. But during that process, I realized that my passion for this work started close to home, with my grandmother. She's 94 years old. She's lived in Sierra Leone her entire life. She worked as a math and English teacher, and she's still like razor sharp. She does her crosswords and has been through so much in this environment, as you can imagine, at 94. She was orphaned as a young girl, and so she raised her siblings. And she's seen the evolution of this country. She's seen and witnessed persistent and emergent diseases, wars, coup d'etat, crumbling infrastructures, and a challenged healthcare system. So if there's anyone who should be resigned or despondent, it should be her, because she's seen a lot, she's experienced a lot. But she is not. Even in the most dire times, she understood the importance of personal choice. She understood that her health, her good health, was her superpower. She did not rely on governments and institutions to do so for her, nor did she surrender to the predispositions of her genes. She understands that she had to take ownership and design her own personal system of health. Well, my grandmother is 94, but the life expectancy of a Sierra Leonean is 54. That's a 40-year difference. The world average is 72. But you say, okay, well, that's different. They have different environment. But Rwanda, who also had a traumatic past, if you live in Rwanda, you get 15 years more of life. Why? If you're in Senegal, you get 14 years more. The question is why, but it's also what are you doing about it? What are you doing in your space? Yes, we know there's certain things in your environment you can't control. You can't control your genes. And yes, we have governments that really are responsible to ensure the healthy well-being of their citizens. And some take it more seriously than others. But at the end of the day, what are you doing to improve your situation like my grandmother did? And that's a question I want you guys to think about it. Yeah. So the leading choice, the leading cause of death in Sierra Leone, of premature death, because this is not normal age and then you die. The leading cause of premature death are like non-communicable diseases. These are also called lifestyle illnesses. This means that your behavior affects the risks of getting these diseases. Diseases like diabetes and stroke and cancer and heart attacks. And so therein ends my bad news. Now it's only good news, because your behavior influences the risk of these diseases. So your action, your physical activity, your diet, everything that you do can influence whether or not you get this. And this is a big deal because we have the choice. And if we're not making a choice, that choice is being made for us. And it controls the quality of our lives. And in this environment, in many environments, there are very few things really within our control. But this is one of those things within our control. So what can you do? What I saw with my grandmother, she collaborated with doctors as necessary, and she listened to her body send messages, and she responded to those. And she designed a personal system of health. And this personal system of health is broken down to two components. Your relationships. First, your relationship with your body. Do you know how your body functions at its best? Do you know when it functions at its worst? Can you put your right hand over your heart? Some of you are not doing it. Do you not have hearts? Do I need to call you? Right hand, heart. Do you feel that? You feel your heart, but that's so much power. You sit atop the most powerful machine there ever could be. But yet you don't know much about it. I am convinced that the more we learn about our bodies, that the more precious we'll treat it. So in this personal system of health, how do we go about doing that? Well, the first one, you can do self-study. You can go on YouTube and learn as much as possible. If you can learn music videos, you can learn this, because it's about you. Because only you can be the world-leading expert on your body. No one else can. But then the other thing you can do is listen. Listen to your body. Listen. So you can interpret messages that it sends to you accurately, so you can either get help or take action. It's the critical difference between, understanding yourself and then just allowing doctors or medical practitioners to take control of you, because there's only so much they can do, even at their best. So with the system of, back, thank you. With the system of habits, you need to first understand your mindset, because you have to develop habits to be able to take care of and support your body. Your mindset will determine whether or not you're committed. So you have to make that decision there. Every single success story that I've seen has come from someone really deciding here first and here. And even if they're not really strong enough yet, they can develop practices like meditation and prayers and gratitude and journaling to be able to strengthen that commitment to yourself. Because if you really think about it, if you're not able to honor a commitment to yourself, to your own body, what does that say? And what can you do if you're not very healthy? And so the second set of habits would be physical habits. And physical habits now support your mindset. So you develop these physical habits to now strengthen the choice that you've made mentally. The first physical habit, there are two main that we call them keystone habits. Keystone habits are habits where when you implement them in your life, they make all the other habits easier. There are many healthy habits that we can, adopt, but the two most important ones are your diet and your physical activity. When we start with physical activity, we can go now to understand that the importance of that is not necessarily lost in our community. Because when I talk to anyone and they know what I do, and then they start asking, well, okay, tell me the one diet and the one exercise that will really make a difference. And one of the things I had to let them know is that to be able to adopt these, like my grandmother did, it has to be something that flows from you. It has to be something that's natural for you, that's something that's interesting to you. My grandmother's adoption of all these techniques were not intentional. They were just practical necessity because it was cost effective and it made sense and she saw the benefits. But now with the information that we have, you know and what you know, there are different things you can do. So think of the thing that you used to do when you were a kid. When they say go play, what did you do? If you look at that way that you played, you can use that to now figure out what you would enjoy as an adult. Sierra Leone actually has a very active, culture of exercise, even though we don't think of it as exercise, because we're constantly on the move. It's very hectic. So especially school children, up to a certain age, they get a lot of physical activity. But then it gets to a certain point where people get a little bit more money, they get older, they feel like that activity in the past was just too exhausting. They don't see it as exercise or something that benefits them. They see it as something that was almost, they suffered, the yagba, and they're no longer going back to that life. And so they think they're no longer supposed to incorporate physical activity into their lives. And that is a mistake. That is a big mistake. It's a mistake that leads to potential disability and just not being able to do as much for yourself. Because as you get older, you lose bone mass and you lose muscle mass. And that's essential to ensure that you continue doing all the things you're supposed to do. So if you're a person who used to jog up the stairs, like if you say, just run up there and you can just bound right up, no breath, you just, okay. And then now that somebody asks you to do that and you're not able to do that, that's not age, that's choice. So we have a choice in all of these matters. For my grandmother, she just incorporated health into different areas of her life. She just would do different things in the house. She would walk. So you don't necessarily have to think of it as exercise, but if you can take the opportunity to walk instead of taking an elevator, to walk instead of ride a car, go jogging, there are just so many things we can do in this community, in this country, that we constantly do. And you can even do crunches at home. As soon as you wake up, you can do planks. There are just so many ways to incorporate just a few minutes into your life, because it makes such a difference, and it helps you look really good. You look so much younger. The second physical habit is diet. When it comes to premature death and disease, diet ranks as the single most important factor. That is undisputed. All the studies prove that. But the funny thing is this. There was a Cambridge study in the Lancet Global Journal that Sierra Leone, they called Sierra Leone as having one of the healthiest quality diets already. Greater than Japan, greater than like Canada and all of these countries, because we have access to fresh fruits and produce and greater access and less access to processed foods. So we come from a culture of health. You understand? We have healthy eating in our DNA. We have it it's part of our legacy. This is not something that's external to us. This is something that's in our culture. So the easiest ways and the simplest ways to kind of eat healthily, you kind of just focus on, we focus on just proportions. Because at the end of the day, a lot of our issues here are not the fact that of the foods that we have, because we plasas, we ebe, all these foods, olele, all of these are just amazing. They're nutritionally sound and perfect. And of course, we know they're delicious. However, our consumption of starch far outweighs our necessary requirement. And so we eat a lot of rice, and that gives us this idea that rice is unhealthy when it is not. But it's all about portioning. So as you see, rice, if you're doing greater than 50% rice, that's a lot. That's a lot. You know you shouldn't feel sleepy after you eat. Like, it's a lot. If it's that big and then there's a soup on top, it's a lot. The Japanese eat like rice every single day. In small, this is a bowl, almost 7 times of ours for just a regular meal. So rice is not bad. What you do to rice is bad. So it's about the behavior. and alternating the behavior. I mean, we have a lot of different things that we can do and additions that we can make, but understand that our foods are nutritionally amazing, that they're superior in a lot of ways, and as long as you eat locally and seasonally, all of this works for you. You can have a very, very healthy diet. So to say at 54, and some of you may be 54 or more in here, we're supposed to die. That's what the statistics say. But my grandmother defied that by 40 years. You have all it takes to defy that because you come from a culture of health and you have to embrace it. But only you can choose. Only you can make that decision. Only you can choose to invest in yourself and your health and unlock that superpower. I am Muriel, I'm 41, and I'm a healthy living like religion.